I remember that night the way you remember a nightmare you can't wake up from. The hospital room was cold, but my body felt even colder. The monitors beeped softly, each sound slower than the last, like life itself was hesitating inside me. Nurse Mary sat at my bedside, holding my trembling hand between her warm palms. "Stay with me, Mama. Stay with me," she whispered, her voice cracking the way hearts crack when they know what's coming. But my breath was slipping. My chest rose barely, fell weakly, and then it stopped rising at all. The lights above me blurred into long white streaks, stretching further and further away. Voices around me sounded distant, as if they were calling from underwater. I could feel my body letting go. My hearing faded, my sight dimmed. My heartbeat once strong became a slow thump, then a pause, and then nothing. At 3:12 a.m., my heart stopped. The monitor went flat. That long, terrible tone filled the room. A doctor checked my pulse, then quietly exhaled. He wrote the time in steady handwriting. Time of death, 3:12 a.m. My daughter screamed an animal-like cry that tore straight through the room. My son turned away, pressing his forehead against the cold wall, trying to stay strong when his soul was splitting apart. A nurse pulled a white sheet up toward my chin. They thought I was gone. But what nobody knew, I was still there. My body was still, but my mind, my awareness, my soul, wide awake. I could hear everything, every sob, every whispered prayer, every trembling breath my children took, but I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I was floating above myself, as if some invisible thread had lifted me out of my own skin. I saw my daughter clutch my lifeless hand. I saw my son break down in the corner. And I wanted to tell them, I'm here. I'm not gone. But I had no voice, no movement, no control. And just when I began drifting away toward a strange, warm light rising behind the darkness, I heard the sound that pulled me back like a hook through the heart. "Mama, please don't leave me." My daughter's broken voice. It snapped through the silence and wrapped around my soul, anchoring me to the world I was supposed to be leaving. 1 minute later, everything changed, because at 3:13 a.m., my eyes suddenly opened. People think death is an instant, a snap, a moment, a single breath that doesn't return. But that's not the truth. For me, death lasted 1 full minute. A minute that felt longer than my entire life. When my heart stopped at 3:12 a.m., the world around me didn't disappear all at once. It faded, like a dimmer switch being slowly turned down. The hospital room grew distant. The sounds softened. The cold inside my body lifted, replaced by something warm, strangely warm. And then I was rising. Not fast. Not floating like in a dream. But being pulled, gently yet firmly, as if invisible hands were guiding me upward. Below me, I saw my own body lying still on the bed. A lifeless shell gray, quiet, empty. My daughter was bent over my chest, sobbing so hard her shoulders shook. My son's hands covered his face as he tried to keep from breaking apart. Nurses moved slowly, almost respectfully, preparing to cover me. I wanted to reach for them, to touch them, to scream that I wasn't gone, but my voice didn't belong to that world anymore. As I lifted higher, the hospital room began to blur, until it wasn't a room at all, it was a shadow. Then a haze, and then nothing. And in place of the hospital, a soft, white glow appeared. Not blinding, not frightening, just peaceful, like someone had opened the door to a place that felt strangely familiar. I couldn't see the source of the light at first, but I felt the warmth before anything else, a warmth I hadn't felt since childhood. A warmth that wrapped around me like arms I used to run into. Then the shape began to form. A silhouette. A figure. Someone stepping out of the light. When the face became clear, my breath, though I had none, caught inside me. It was my mother, gone for decades, but exactly as I remembered her. Her smile gentle, her eyes full, her presence comforting in a way nothing on earth had ever matched. "Mama," I whispered, though no sound came out. She reached toward me, not touching, but close enough that I could feel her warmth. "My child," she said, her voice like a memory coming alive. "Not yet." That was all. Just those 2 words. But they hit me harder than the moment my heart had stopped. Not yet. The light behind her trembled. The warmth wavered. And suddenly I felt a pull, not upward this time, but downward, sharp and fast, like someone had grabbed my soul by the shoulders and yanked me back toward my body. I fell. Down through the glow. Down through the darkness. Down into the cold, still room where my body lay waiting. And that fall ended exactly 1 minute after I had died. 3:13 a.m. And the moment I crashed back into my body, the impossible happened. Coming back into my body didn't feel gentle. It didn't feel graceful. It felt like being dropped from the sky straight into cold, aching flesh. One moment, I was surrounded by warmth and light, and the next, I crashed into darkness, heavy, suffocating, painful darkness. My chest felt like someone had slammed a fist into it. My lungs burned as if they hadn't tasted air for a lifetime. My fingers twitched, then jerked, then froze again. And then, my heart kicked. One wild, desperate thump. Then another. Then a tremor of life rushed through my veins like lightning. At 3:13 a.m., my eyes flew open. The room around me snapped into focus in a series of chaotic fragments. Nurse Mary turning away with the white sheet in her hands. My daughter hunched over my body, shoulders shaking. My son staring at the floor, broken, defeated. For a moment, none of them saw me. I took a breath, a deep, ragged, painful breath. Kind that sounds like it's being dragged out of a rusted machine. It was loud enough to echo. My daughter's head jerked up. Her eyes widened so fast it looked like they might shatter. She whispered, her voice trembling. Nurse Mary turned next, and the sheet dropped from her hands. She froze. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. Then it hit her. "Oh my God. She's breathing. She's breathing." She screamed, her voice exploding through the hallway. The doctor stumbled back into the room, disbelief written across his face. He rushed to my side, hands shaking as he checked my pulse. A pulse that shouldn't have existed. My son backed away, like the ground had shifted under him. He pressed his hand over his mouth to keep from crying out. The shock on his face wasn't just fear, it was hope violently resurrected. I tried to speak, but my voice was barely more than breath scraping against my throat. I whispered. Just that. One tiny word. The weakest greeting a human being has ever spoken, and yet it hit everyone in that room like thunder. My daughter collapsed onto my chest, sobbing hysterically, clutching me as if her grip alone could keep me alive. My son finally broke, tears streaming down his face as he stumbled toward me and grabbed my hand like a lifeline. The doctor kept repeating under his breath, "This isn't possible. This isn't possible. This isn't possible." But I was there, alive, breathing, staring at them with eyes that weren't supposed to open again. Alive, 1 minute after being declared dead. But the real shock came when they asked me what I saw. And I told them everything. And when I finally told them, every person in that room went silent. As the room settled, machines beeping again, nurses rushing in and out, my children clinging to my hands, like they'd just been returned. Something priceless. There was one question hanging in the air. The doctor asked it first, his voice barely above a whisper. "Do you remember anything?" The entire room froze. My daughter stopped crying. My son lifted his head. Nurse Mary's eyes locked onto mine. They expected confusion. They expected fear. They expected me to say, "No, everything is blank." But that wasn't the truth. I remembered everything. I took a slow breath, and the room leaned in, hearts thumping louder than the machines. I remember the moment my heart stopped. I said quietly, "I remember leaving this room." My daughter gripped my hand tighter. My son swallowed hard, his eyes wide. I saw all of you, I continued, crying, trying to be strong, breaking apart when you thought I was gone. The doctor's face paled. And then, I whispered, I saw a light, soft, warm, brighter than anything on earth. A hush fell over the room. Even the machines seemed too quiet. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling the memory wash over me like a warm wave. It wasn't scary, I said. It felt like home. My voice trembled as I spoke the next part. And someone stepped out of that light. Who? My daughter breathed. My mother, I said, opening my eyes. The reaction was instant. My daughter's hand flew to her mouth. My son's face crumpled. Nurse Mary blinked hard, trying not to cry. She smiled at me, I said, just like she used to when I was a child. And she told me, not yet. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the air felt still, suspended, waiting. The doctor cleared his throat, struggling to make sense of it. You're saying you saw your mother. I didn't just see her, I replied. I felt her. I heard her. She pushed me back here. She didn't let me stay. My daughter's tears returned, but softer this time, tears of awe, not grief. My son whispered, Mama, are you saying you came back? For us? I turned my head toward him, my voice breaking as I answered. Yes, because I heard you. Both of you. Your pain pulled me back stronger than death. A nurse in the corner quietly wiped her eyes. The doctor lowered his head, humbled in a way science can't explain. I looked at all of them and said, with absolute certainty, I wasn't supposed to return, but love called me back. But the final truth, the real reason I came back was something none of them expected. Because one unfinished thing can pull a soul back from heaven. When the doctor finished checking my vitals for the fifth time, still shaking his head in disbelief, my children stayed crouched beside me, afraid to let go, afraid that if they blinked, I'd disappear again. But there was something else inside me now. Something calm. Something sure. Something I didn't have before I died. A clarity only the dead can bring back. My daughter finally whispered the question everyone was scared to ask. Mama, why did you come back? Her voice trembled like she was afraid of the answer. I looked at her, then at my son. And for a moment I felt the weight of that warm light pulling at my memory. The piece I had touched, the mother who told me not yet, and I knew exactly why I was here. Because my story wasn't finished, I said softly. My daughter's face crumpled. My son wiped his eyes, trying to be strong again, failing beautifully. But I wasn't done. When I left my body, I continued. I felt everything you two felt. Every fear. Every regret. Every memory you weren't ready to lose. I looked at my son. You blamed yourself for not visiting enough. He froze, then burst into tears. I turned to my daughter. You were terrified of being alone in this world. She nodded, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. I came back, I whispered, because your hearts called me louder than heaven could keep me. The room went still again, another silence, but this one wasn't heavy. It was full, alive, almost holy. Nurse Mary stood at the foot of the bed, both hands covering her trembling mouth. The doctor stared at the floor, humbled in a way science never prepares you for. My children leaned in closer, tears streaming down their faces. Their hands gripping mine like they were holding the universe together. There's something else, I said. They leaned in even more. When I was up there, when I saw the light, there was a moment where I wanted to stay. Their faces shattered at the thought. But then I remembered. I still have something to do here. What? My son whispered. I smiled, a weak, tired, but real smile. The same thing I've been doing since the day you were born. I squeezed their hands. Loving you. Guiding you. Teaching you. Holding you up when you fall. I came back because you still need your mother. My daughter sobbed into my shoulder. My son buried his face against my arm. I rested my head back on the pillow, my voice barely more than air. Heaven can wait. My children can't. The beeping of the monitor beside me steadied itself, each beat stronger than the last. The room warmed. The grief lifted. Real breath-filled hope rose among us like a sunrise. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Death took me at 3:12. But love brought me back at 3:13. And ever since that night, I live every minute like it's the minute I was given back."